Shalom, my friends, from here in Israel. Tomorrow is the first day of Christmas, and it's also the first night of Chanukah. Now, this is historic, that the Gregorian calendar of Christmas and the Hebrew calendar of Chanukah, which we go according to the moon, have fallen out on the same day. This has only happened 4 times in the past century. And I believe that right now specifically, it is divinely ordained that these holidays fall out on the same day, because I think this year more than ever has shown us that Jews and Christians are in the same boat. As we tap into the light of Chanukah and the light of Christmas, we're both holding on to a light of hope, a light of faith, a light of continuity. We know that both of those stories took place right here where I'm talking to you from, right here in Israel. We know all of the Christian holy sites like Nazareth and Bethlehem and the Mount of Olives, and up north, of course, we have so many holy sites here in Israel directly connected to Jesus's life. And of course, the story of Chanukah took place right here, not far from where I am, exactly where the fellowship offices are in the town of Modi'in, where the Maccabees, that were a group of actually priests in the temple who refused to let the Greeks wipe out the faith of the Jewish people. And this few amount of Maccabees took up a war against the huge amount of Greeks, and of course, miraculously won. And they were able to go into the temple and rekindle the lights of the menorah, even though they found only one small jar of pure oil. That small jar of pure oil that should have only lasted for a day, lasted for 8 days until there was new oil that was able to be made and brought to the temple. We'll be talking about the story of Chanukah more over the next week. But the fact that Chanukah and Christmas fall out on the very same day, specifically this year, I believe is of God and is very symbolic. It's something we have to tap into. What I've seen in the Middle East firsthand is that the same enemies of the Jewish people are the enemies of the Christians. Just yesterday, there was a Christmas tree that was burned in Syria. We know the population, the Christian population in Bethlehem, has gone down in a terrifying and heartbreaking way. In 1995, there was 80% Christians in Bethlehem. Today, 2024, that is now under the rule of the Palestinian Authority, there are 10% Christians in Bethlehem. We know that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East. And we know that the same Islamist extremists who are targeting Israel and the Jewish people are telling us with their own words, first we go for the Saturday people and then we go for the Sunday people. First we go for the Jews and then we go for the Christians. They're saying it. And if that's not enough for you, I don't know what is. If there's one thing we learned this past year, it's that we have to listen both to the actions of our enemies, but also to their words. They tell us what they want. They tell us exactly what they're going to do. And the enemies of Israel, the enemies of the Jews, have put the Jews and Christians in the same category. That we're fighting the same fight. We're fighting the same darkness. God has called us, Christians and Jews, to stand together against this darkness. God is saying the same enemies of the Jews are the enemies of the Christians, and vice versa. And the only way to fight that darkness is to fight it together. And so, as people of faith, how do we fight darkness? Well, what I've seen this past year is that we fight darkness with light. We fight hatred with love. We fight evil with goodness. This past year, I've seen how Christians and Jews have come together to bless Israel and the Jewish people, to be the watchmen on the walls of Jerusalem, to go together and say, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort, comfort my people. Through the fellowship, we have delivered over 3 million hot meals across Israel, from northern border to the southern border, over 3 million hot meals to the people of Israel, because Christians have said, I am with you. We've built hundreds of bomb shelters because Christians have said, I'm with you. We've been able to help hospitals across Israel, from Jerusalem to Tiberias to Nazareth, to say, I'm going to protect and provide for the people of Israel the medical care that they need. And so what the fellowship has been doing we've been spreading that light. We've been spreading that love. We've been spreading that hope, that message of Christmas and Chanukah falling out on the same day for the fourth time in the past century. 4 times only in a whole century is happening this year. And so the fellowship, I believe, represents what God is calling us to open up our eyes to. You have to stand together. You have to be together. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good and pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in peace. You have to do this together, and you have to spread the love together. And so this Hanukkah and this Christmas, the fellowship is distributing food boxes and winter warmth, both to Jews in Israel, but also to Christians in Israel. To the Christian community in Israel who is celebrating Christmas, we're there to provide for them. And to the elderly Holocaust survivors, and to the survivors of October 7th, and to the elderly who need our help, the fellowship is there for them as well. And we're coming together and we're saying Jews and Christians are unified and standing with God's people, because we know we don't just curse the darkness, we bring the light. We spread the light. We become the light. And that's what we're doing now, right now, with International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. And that's what we've done for 40 years, and especially this past year. That's what we've made stronger than ever. And so God says to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and we know that those who pray for the peace of Jerusalem are blessed in return. We know the promise of Genesis 12:3, those who bless Israel are blessed in return. And I've seen that firsthand in my own life, and so many of the fellowship friends and donors have showed me on graphs even how their blessings have come as soon as they started blessing Israel, because God has a miraculous way to send us exactly what we need at exactly the right time. And so this year, as Hanukkah and Christmas come out on the same day, which again, each time I say it, I just can't believe it, because Christmas goes according to the Gregorian calendar, which goes according to the sun, and Hanukkah goes according to the Hebrew calendar, which goes according to the moon. Very rarely do those dates fall out on the same time. And so, as God sends us this message of unity, I pray that we will internalize it, that we will spread it, that we will both listen to the biblical call in God's commandment, Ohavei Hashem sinu ra, lovers of the Lord despise evil. And we are surrounded, my friends, with more evil today than I can ever remember in my lifetime. Even as I'm giving this video, I see people threatening Israel, saying that Israel should be bombed, saying that Israel doesn't have a right to exist. We're surrounded with more evil than ever. And it's the same people who are persecuting Christians. But the way that we respond to that is with love, with loving one another, with loving our brothers and sisters, with reaching out and caring for one another, for listening to God's word and saying, we are going to consume ourselves with helping to fix this broken world, spreading the light, spreading the blessings. And that, my friends, is what it means to be people of faith in this season of light. So Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I'll be reporting to you more from here in Israel. Stay tuned to see miracle stories I want to share with you over Hanukkah that I've experienced over this past year. I've seen so many miracles over this past year through the fellowship, and I'm going to be sharing some of those miracles with you on each night of Hanukkah. You could light the menorah, the Chanukah menorah, with my family. I'll continue to spread teachings about Hanukkah and what the holiday means. And I invite you to also welcome me into your family, that when you are celebrating with your family Christmas, make sure to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I feel your prayers for me and my family, and it strengthens me so much. And send me pictures, send me updates, send me thoughts right here on social media. I read every single one of them, even if I don't always respond. But I read every single one of your comments. So keep on commenting, keep on spreading light. And from here in Israel, shalom. Happy holidays.